Listen to me. This is not a coincidence. You didn't stumble on this video by accident. You didn't press play just because. No. This moment right now is a divine appointment, a wake-up call from something greater than you. God knows you need a new path. And guess what? He's been trying to tell you, but you haven't been listening. You feel it, don't you? That restlessness, that frustration, that nagging voice in the back of your mind screaming, there's more for me than this. But you keep ignoring it. You keep pushing it down, numbing yourself with distractions, with doubt, with excuses. But here's the truth. That feeling inside you, it's not a mistake. It's not just some random thought. It's a calling. It's God shaking your soul, trying to break you out of the prison of comfort, fear, and small thinking. Let me ask you something. Do you ever feel like you're stuck? Like no matter what you do, you keep ending up in the same place, the same cycle, the same frustration. Maybe it's your job, your relationships, your mindset. Maybe it's all of it. You wake up and something in you whispers, this isn't it. There's more for me. You feel it, but you don't move. You stay, you push the feeling down, and I get it. Change is scary. The unknown is terrifying. But let me tell you something. You cannot stay where you are. Because if you do, that feeling won't go away. It'll grow louder, stronger, more painful. You weren't meant to live a life that doesn't inspire you. You weren't designed to just exist, to just get by. That discomfort you feel, that frustration, it's not a mistake. It's a message. It's God shaking you, waking you up, trying to pull you out of a life that is too small for who you really are. But most people ignore it. They settle, they numb themselves with distractions, with scrolling, with entertainment, with anything that keeps them from facing the truth. They're afraid to move. Let's get real for a second. If you're listening to this right now, something inside you knows you need a change. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And I'll tell you this, if you don't choose to move, life will move you. You ever notice how some people don't change until they're forced to? They stay in the toxic relationship until it breaks them. They stay in the dead-end job until they get fired. They stay in the same self-destructive habits until their body or mind shuts down. Why? Because they ignored the warning signs. They ignored that voice inside them saying, you're not supposed to be here anymore. I need you to hear me. Don't wait until life forces you to change. If you already feel that pull, that restlessness, that knowing deep inside, it means it's time. But here's the hard part. It won't be easy. The moment you decide to move, fear is going to show up. Doubt is going to creep in. People around you might not understand. Some might even try to stop you. Not because they're bad people, but because they are comfortable where they are and your growth scares them. But listen to me. You cannot let the fear of what's ahead keep you trapped in what's behind. Because here's the truth. The version of you that is meant to live in your next level, they don't exist yet. You have to become them. And the only way to become them is to leave behind the version of you that keeps playing small, that keeps overthinking, that keeps making excuses. And I know what some of you are thinking, but what if I fail? But what if it doesn't work? But what if I'm not ready? And I'll ask you this. What if you never try? What if you let fear keep you in the same place for another year, 5 years, 10? What if you never step into the life you were created for because you were too afraid to take the first step? I need you to see something. Where you are now is not your final destination. God is not done with you yet, but He cannot take you where you're meant to be if you refuse to move. I want you to picture something. Imagine you're driving, but you're staring in the rearview mirror the entire time. What happens? You crash. Because you can't move forward if you're obsessed with what's behind you. Some of you keep looking back at the mistakes, back at the pain, back at the people who left, back at the things that didn't work out. And every time you do, you keep yourself stuck. Listen to me. Your future is ahead of you, not behind you. It's time to take your eyes off the past. It's time to stop waiting for permission. It's time to stop expecting someone to come and rescue you. No one is coming. This is your life, your journey, and it's up to you to step into it. I'll be real with you. When you choose a new path, it won't feel comfortable. Growth is painful. Change is uncomfortable. Leaving what's familiar feels terrifying. But do you know what's worse? Regret. Looking back one day and realizing you never even tried. So I'm asking you, what are you going to do? Are you going to keep playing small, keep ignoring that voice inside you, keep staying stuck because it feels safer? Or are you going to step into something bigger? You don't have forever. Time is not waiting for you, and right now you have a choice To keep living the same story or to write a new one? So what's it going to be? Let's be real for a second. Most people want change, but they don't want to change. They want a new life, but they want to bring the old habits, the old mindset, the old version of themselves with them. And I'm here to tell you, it doesn't work that way. You can't take your old self into a new season. You can't hold on to the same fears, the same doubts, the same way of thinking and expect to walk into a higher level of life. The old you has to die for the new you to be born. And that's the part nobody talks about because it's painful, it's uncomfortable, it's terrifying, but it's also necessary. Think about a caterpillar. It doesn't just wake up one day and decide to fly. It has to go through a process, a breaking, a transformation. It has to enter the cocoon, dissolve everything it used to be, and become something completely new. And you know what's crazy? The caterpillar doesn't just grow wings. It literally has to break down and rebuild itself from the inside out. It doesn't hold on to its old form. It doesn't resist the transformation. It surrenders to the process, no matter how uncomfortable it is. And that's exactly what has to happen to you. You have to be willing to let go of the old version of yourself. Most people don't want to, even if that version is hurting them, even if that version is keeping them stuck because it's familiar, and familiar is comfortable even when it's painful. But I need you to understand this. The version of you that gets to the next level, that person doesn't think the way you think now. They don't operate the way you operate now. They don't surround themselves with the same people, waste time on the same distractions, or let fear control their decisions. So let me ask you, are you willing to let go of the old you? Because this is where most people get stuck. They say they want to grow, they say they want better, but when it comes time to make the changes, they hesitate, they get scared. They cling to the familiar even when it's the very thing keeping them from where they want to be. And I get it, letting go is hard. Walking away from what you've always known is uncomfortable. But do you want to know what's harder? Staying the same. Waking up 5 years from now realizing you never became who you were meant to be because you refused to let go of who you were. You can't carry both. You can't carry your excuses and your transformation. You can't carry your comfort zone and your growth. You can't carry your fear and your faith at the same time. Something has to go. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Sometimes that means people in your life. Sometimes that means walking away from relationships that no longer serve you. Not because you don't care, but because you can't become who you're meant to be while staying in an environment that keeps you small. Some of you are trying to drag people into your next season who were only meant to be in your last one, and that's why it feels so heavy. That's why it feels so exhausting, because you're trying to grow and they're pulling you back. Listen, you don't owe anyone your stagnation. You don't owe anyone your old self. If someone truly belongs in your next level, they'll grow with you. And if they don't, you have to be willing to move on, because here's what I know. When you start changing, people will notice. Some will support you, some will celebrate you, but some will try to keep you the same. They'll say, you've changed. Like it's a bad thing, like you were supposed to stay the same person forever. And that's where you have a choice. Do you shrink yourself to make them comfortable, or do you keep growing even if it means losing some people along the way? I'll tell you right now, if you choose growth, if you choose transformation, if you choose to let the old you die, it's gonna be lonely for a while. It's gonna feel like you're walking through the fire. It's gonna feel like everything you once knew is falling apart. But what if it's not falling apart? What if it's falling into place? What if everything you're losing is making room for something greater? What if the people walking away are clearing space for the right people to enter? What if the fear, the discomfort, the pain, what if it's all part of your rebirth? You're not being punished, you're being prepared. You're being stripped of everything that no longer serves you. You're being forced to shed the weight of your past so you can finally step into your future. But it's a choice. You have to choose to let go. You have to choose to stop making excuses. You have to choose to stop letting fear win. Because the truth is, no one is coming to save you. No one is going to do the work for you. This is your journey. And only you can decide if you're willing to pay the price for your next level. So ask yourself, are you ready to let go? Are you ready to let the old version of you die so the real you can be born? Or are you going to keep holding on to something that's already expired because the future you deserve, the life you've been praying for, it's already waiting for you, but it won't wait forever.